denied all the best ultra sex. I've been denied all the best ultra sex.
Hey guys, it's Kai again. Okay. I am so excited about this community. I cannot stop saying that. That even before my first week video is up, I'm already working on my second. So, week 2 is all about your partner. As I said it in my first video, I am incredibly single at the moment, so I don't have one. So this becomes free topic week. So I would like to discuss online versus real life, shaping your identity in the cyber world. Now, what's really interesting is that after reading all the topics that we have, all 56 of them or whatever, no one ever talks about cyberspace. I'm a little upset by this because I would like to talk about cyberspace. Now, I understand that the idea of transition is to become comfortable in yourself enough to have a real life that really fits your identity. You know, no one discussed how cyberspace plays a part in transition. So, until very recently, in fact, never have I had a real offline relationship. Never had a steady boyfriend, never had a steady girlfriend, nothing like that. I grew up in a Catholic environment where, well, lesbianity was wrong, first of all, and I was very closeted. I didn't attend public school. I don't have parents who are liberal or a family who is liberal. And all the liberal friends I've had have been nerds, and I've had no desire whatsoever to date them. I used to work in a gay bar as a karaoke jockey, and at that time I met a lot of, you know, gay people, lesbians, homosexuals, whatever. And the only people I could really relate to were the gays, who sometimes even flirted with me, which was amazing, but I never followed through with anything because I'm female-bodied, and I thought, oh, whatever. So, never did anything. So the only relationships I've ever had, which were any length of time, you know, more than a date, have been virtual, over the internet. And they involved, the first one involved me lying about my gender, saying I'm a man, and developing a homosexual relationship with another man online where it was understood that there was no possibility of ever becoming a real life relationship. That relationship lasted for 4 years, and I found it incredibly fulfilling at the time. We had similar tastes, we appreciated the same things in the bedroom, and they were very sweet, but at the same time we broke up because I felt all this guilt, and it turns out he was feeling a lot of guilt too for other reasons. But my reason for my guilt was, obviously, I was a female, biologically female, and he was expecting, you know, biologically male. So a lot of my sexual experience has been virtual. I've had sex a couple times, you know, one time was really good, but most of the times were nothing to write home about. But, you know, at one point I'd confessed. We had broken up because I had so much guilt that I just couldn't cope. And we broke up, and I told him, you know, the reason why I always feel so weird when I'm around you sometimes is that I'm biologically female. And he was like, oh, well, okay, that's fine. And then we started dating again. We dated for another 2 years. And we finally broke up because of time differences, and we were both in school, and it was really hard for us to see each other, and so we just sort of stopped. The second person I've dated, I met him when I was in a really dark period in my life. I felt that there was something wrong with me. I felt that, you know, I was sick for having these feelings of I'm a man. I had, until very recently before that point, tried to, fine, I'll just be a woman. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Maybe I just don't know the right people. So I started on the internet creating personas that were female and trying to cope with that and seeing if maybe if I wasn't lying to people about being a man, then maybe I would have a better experience. I'd be happier. I don't know, whatever. But it was awful. It was worse than the guilt. So I stopped that, went back to being a man online, and got really into BDSM because I wanted to be punished. I just wanted to, you know, I was a bad person, and I was a liar, and I was cheating people, and blah blah blah, and being dishonest. So I just wanted to get punished, and I was just in a really dark place. I mean, I was so close to suicide at that point that it was not funny. And I met this guy who was really sweet and really nice and really polite, and I was just like, you know, F this, F that, F the other thing, and I hated him. But he kept coming around. I don't know why. So I disappeared for a while. I just couldn't cope, and I came back 6 months later. And I just told him everything. You know, I'm transgender, but I think there's something wrong with me. I'm so depressed, blah, blah, blah. And I vented everything to him. And he just accepted it. He was just like, that's okay. You've always been a man to me. That doesn't matter. And we just became really close. And then after like 4 months of being friends, we started dating. And we were together for almost 2 years. But I knew near the end that we just weren't going to last. And I tried to break up with him, and he made it go a little longer, whatever. But the point isn't exactly my relationships. It's the fact that my way to cope, because lesbianity didn't work for me, was, and you can't be a gay man and a woman at the same time. It was hard for me to develop real-life relationships that were meaningful. And a lot of the lesbians that I were meeting, I didn't even like them as people. It was a problem, you know. I'm sure they were very nice, but I just couldn't stand them. And when you meet most of the people that you meet in bars, you end up meeting people who are just drunks. And anyone who has a substance addiction, you can see that they're wasting their life. You know, they work, and they get drunk, they go to sleep, they wake up the next day, they go to work, they get drunk, they go to sleep. And I've never wanted... I see the lost potential there, and that always upsets me. I had friends who I knew in college who became potheads, and I saw their life go from a life that was full of promise to a life that was just worse and worse and worse and worse. So I just couldn't relate to these people, because I don't really drink. I drink, you know, socially a glass of something, and that's it. So it was really hard for me to relate with them, because I didn't want to mask my suffering. I wanted to deal with it. I've always wanted to deal with it. But here I was not dealing with my suffering. I've kissed a few people and I've had sex with a few people, but I've never really had a relationship. And it's probably my own fault for making myself gruesome in order to deal with my dysphoria. But I mean, no one really talks about that. Using the internet as a medium by which you can express yourself in the way you see yourself in your head, regardless of the limitations of your biological body. So my therapist and I are always talking about, like, well, you know, you have a really strong sex drive, you know exactly what you want, you know, but here you are sitting on the internet instead of going out and meeting people. But this is probably why I don't have a partner, because there's just so much discomfort with my dysphoria and the goals that I'm trying to get, and the fact that biologically between the goals I'm trying to get, like, I can't find a gay man to date if I'm obviously missing some equipment and I have some extras that they don't want. So it's been a problem, but that's probably why I'm single. And, you know, because of the community that I have and the religious background of my family, it's not like I really had the opportunity to just go and do whatever. So I'm always curious, like, if other people have used the internet as a vehicle to deal with their dysphoria or to be the people they wanted to be, particularly in our community that's older as opposed to younger. You know, the young people, they're in college, they can do whatever they want, but for the rest of us who've had lives, you know, who are older and it's taken longer for us to come out or to transition, was the internet in any way helpful to you to deal with that? Was it some sort of, in a way it's an escape mechanism, because if you're living as a man online, you're not doing things to live as a man in the real world. And it's shameful. People talk about the internet like it's, oh, you do things on the internet. That's shameful. Why would you do that? You can, have a real relationship. So I often feel sort of like, I don't want to tell people that I've had boyfriends, because my boyfriends have been online and they're not on the same scale. People are not going to take them seriously. But they were serious to me. They were relationships that were very good for me at the time. Because of my last relationship, I was able to get a job that I enjoyed. I was able to start school again, because I had given up on life. I was going to kill myself. I mean, there was no point in moving on. So if it wasn't for my last boyfriend, I might not be here. I might not be here making this video, telling people about my shameful online boyfriend and the way I dealt with my transition, or my lack of transition for 10 years. So, I mean, it's okay to have friends over the internet, but it's this big taboo to, you can meet your spouse on a dating site online, but they expect you to then immediately take that to real life and then, maybe get married or date or something. But having a relationship solely on the internet where maybe not everything about yourself is revealed, or where there's no chance of it becoming real life, that's a huge thing that is judged a lot. But most of my life experience in romance or relationships or whatever is there. And I'm kind of proud of it. It was meaningful to me. So how do people value that? Is that less good for me than dating a real person? Is it less valuable? Do I say I've never dated anyone because none of my relationships have been in real life? Or can I say, well, I've dated people, and then just not explain it? You know what I mean? But that's the one way where I was able to really sort of claim myself. When I couldn't transition because of my family, when I couldn't transition because of their religion, when I couldn't transition because of money, or I couldn't transition because I wasn't able to be independent. That's where I was a man. That's where I could embrace myself and feel whole and feel real, even while I had all this guilt of I'm lying to them. I cannot tell you how many times I've told people who I was interested in, oh, by the way, I'm biologically female, and the reactions that I would get. So I don't know. Because to me, it can feel real. Is that a problem? Anyway, that's Kai, bearing his soul. I'm going to film week 3 like the day after tomorrow. Just watch. Can I have bi-weekly posts? No. Twice a week as opposed to once a week. No? Okay. See you guys next week. Or a few weeks from now. However it turns out. That's Kai.